Hey, so you know how everyone's talking about Teslas these days, right? Especially the Model 3, it's like the iPhone of electric cars. But here is something most people don't realize. Not all Model 3s are the same. I mean, yeah, they look pretty much identical on the outside. But where your Tesla is built, whether it's made in the US or in China, actually makes a pretty big difference. And I'm not just talking about the sticker price or some minor detail. I'm talking about real stuff like how well the car is put together, what kind of battery it's got, how long it's going to last, and even how much you'll end up paying in the long run. So, let me break it down for you, just like I would if we were sitting at a coffee shop and you were thinking about buying one. Because honestly, this is the kind of thing I wish someone had told me before I got into the whole Tesla rabbit hole. First off, let's talk about where these cars are coming from. For a long time, if you bought a Model 3 in the States, it was coming out of Tesla's Fremont factory in California. But then Tesla opened up this massive factory in Shanghai, China, and now a ton of Model 3s are coming out of there, not just for China, but for Europe, Australia, and a bunch of other places too. And here's the kicker. The ones coming out of China are actually put together better. I know, it sounds weird, right? You'd think made in America would mean top-notch quality. But when you look at the details, the Chinese-built Model 3s have tighter panel gaps, the doors line up better, and everything just feels a little more solid. I've had friends who are super into cars, like the kind of people who notice if a door handle is off by a millimeter, and they've checked out both versions. Every single one of them said the same thing. The Chinese Model 3s are just built better. Even some pro detailers have said the same thing. It's not that the American ones are bad, but the Chinese ones are just cleaner. Less of that Tesla lottery, where you hope you don to get one with a weird rattle or a misaligned trunk. And get this, there was even a survey in China where the Model 3 was rated as the highest quality sedan in the country. Hardly any complaints. That's pretty wild when you think about it, especially since Tesla used to get roasted for quality issues when they first started ramping up production in California. It's like the folks in Shanghai just figured out how to do it right, and they're super consistent about it. Now, you might be wondering if that really matters. I mean, it's just a car, right? But think about it. If you're dropping 40 or 50 grand on a car, you want it to feel solid. You don't want to be the person at the supercharger with a trunk that wants to close or a window that whistles at highway speeds. Plus, better build quality usually means fewer trips to the service center, which, let's be honest, nobody has time for. But that's just the start. The next big thing is the battery. And this is where things get really interesting. The Model 3s made in China mostly use a different kind of battery than the ones made in the US. The Chinese ones have what ES called an LFP battery lithium iron phosphate, while the American ones use something called NCA, which is nickel cobalt aluminum. I know, it sounds super technical, but here's what it means for you. The LFP battery in the Chinese Model 3 is a total game changer for a couple of reasons. First, you can charge it to 100% all the time without worrying about hurting the battery. Tesla actually tells you to do it. With the American ones, you're supposed to keep it at 80% or 90% most of the time, because charging to full can wear out the battery faster. So if you're the kind of person who likes to just plug in and not think about it, the Chinese battery is way less stressful. And here's another cool thing. These LFP batteries are super durable. There is some research out there showing that even after a decade of charging to 100% every day, the battery barely loses any capacity. Tesla's battery supplier in China even has a 1,000,000-mile battery now, with a 15-year warranty before it drops to 85% capacity. That's nuts. Most gas cars don't even last that long before something big goes wrong. Now, there are a couple of trade-offs. The Chinese Model 3 is actually a little heavier, like 120 kilos or so, which is about 260 pounds. That's mostly because of the battery. You'd think that would make it slower or less efficient. But get this, in real-world driving, the difference is tiny. Some tests even show the Chinese one is a hair quicker off the line. Go figure. The flip side is that it does use a bit more electricity, like 6 to 9% more than the American version. So if you're super focused on efficiency, the US-made Model 3 has a slight edge. But for most people, you're not going to notice unless you're really watching your energy usage every day. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because the LFP battery in the Chinese Model 3 can be charged to 100% all the time, you actually get more usable range in everyday driving. With the American one, you're supposed to stop at 80 or 90%, so you're not really getting the full advertised range unless you break the rules and risk wearing out your battery faster. With the Chinese one, what you see is what you get. That's a pretty big deal if you do a lot of road trips or just hate range anxiety. Let's talk money for a second. In the US, the Model 3 starts at about $42,000 for the base version, and it goes up from there. You can get a tax credit, which helps, but if you start adding options, you can lose that credit pretty quick. In China, the prices are actually lower even after a recent price hike. But even here in the States, the Chinese Model 3s are starting to show up. Tesla has been shipping some of them over, especially when demand spikes or they need to fill orders fast. So if you're buying a new Model 3, it's worth checking the VIN or asking the dealer where it was built. You might end up with a Chinese-built car without even realizing it. Now, let's talk about what it's like to actually own one of these things. Maintenance is a big deal with any car, and Teslas are no different. In China, maintenance costs are way lower than for other luxury brands, like half as much. Part of that is because Tesla doesn't have traditional dealerships over there, so there's less markup on parts and service. Here in the US, it's a bit more expensive, but still not as bad as, say, a BMW or a Mercedes. And because the Chinese Model 3 is built better, you might end up needing fewer repairs in the first place. Insurance is another thing people forget about. In China, insuring a Model 3 is way cheaper than insuring a comparable gas-powered luxury car. Here, it's still a little pricey, but it's coming down as more people buy EVs and insurance companies figure out the risk. One thing that helps is that the Chinese Model 3 uses aluminum body panels, which are tougher and less likely to get dinged up. That means lower repair costs and, over time, lower insurance premiums. And here's something nobody talks about: long-term durability. Both the US and Chinese Model 3s come with the same warranty: 8 years or 100,000 to 120,000 miles, depending on the version. But because of that LFP battery, the Chinese one might actually last longer, especially if you're the kind of person who keeps your cars for a long time. The battery just doesn't degrade as fast, even if you're not super careful about how you charge it. With the American one, you have to be a little more mindful. Charge to 100%, unless you really need to. Try to keep it between 20% and 80% most days, that kind of thing. It's not a huge hassle, but it's something to think about. So, bottom line, if you're looking at a Model 3, it actually matters where it was built. The Chinese ones are put together better, have a more durable battery, and might even save you money in the long run. The American ones are a little more efficient and obviously support American manufacturing, which is important to a lot of people. But if you're just looking for the best car for your money, don't sleep on the Chinese Model 3s. They're quietly becoming the best version of the car, and most people have no idea. It's kind of wild, honestly. We're used to thinking that made in America is always the best, but in this case, Tesla's Shanghai factory is setting a new standard. If you ever get the chance, check out both versions side by side. You'll see what I mean. The little things, how the doors close, how the panels line up. Even the feel of the interior just feel a notch above. And when you factor in the battery and the long-term costs, it's a pretty compelling package. Anyway, if you're thinking about getting a Model 3 or you know someone who is, keep this stuff in mind. It's not just about the badge or the price tag. Where your Tesla comes from could make a bigger difference than you think. And hey, if you end up with a Chinese-built Model 3, you might just have the best-kept secret in the Tesla world sitting in your driveway.